Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to Why I Love Wakfu. So this is going to be a series of 6 videos on why I love Wakfu. They're going to be short vlog style. I have decided I'm not going to like script them out or anything. I'm just going to try to keep them as short, simple, and to the point as possible. I'm not going to go into huge, heavy details. I'm not going to like focus on like huge plot stuff, I guess you could say. Basically, I'm just going to try to keep it as basic and simple as possible. Try to keep it like each of these videos are going to be based on one thing, one specific factor on why I love the series of Wakfu. And this is going to be specifically talking about the cartoon. I'm not going to be going into the games or anything. I'm also not going to be going into anything Dofus related. Just the 3 seasons and OVAs for the Wakfu cartoon series. Okay, so today's topic, as you can see, is Yugo, the growth of a hero. Yugo is the main character of Wakfu, and the main character of any show is important. You have to get the main character right, because even if other characters in the series are great, which in Wakfu they are, you still have to have a likable main character, because the story centers around them. The story focuses mostly on them and their story, their adventure, their growth, whatever. When you have Star versus the Force of Evil, you have a lot of great characters, but Star is the main character. Steven Universe, a lot of amazing characters. Steven's the main character. You have My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Twilight Sparkle is the main character. Yes, there's other characters known collectively with Twilight as the main 6, but Twilight is the main character. And this happens in a lot of other shows too, where there's a group of main characters, but there's still one above the rest. And I would consider Wakfu to be one of those. Yugo is the main character, but the others you could consider main characters as well. Amalia, Evangeline, Rule, Tristapin. All of them are main characters, but Yugo's the main character. He's like the main focus, the main hero, and everything kind of centers around him, especially plot-wise. But today we're just going to talk about why I think he's a fantastic main character. Why I think he's a great main character, and why I think that it's one of the points where Wakfu truly succeeds. As I said, a great main character you have to have for the series to be next level. All of my favorite cartoons, Legend of Korra, Steven Universe, Star Versus, the ones I've mentioned, MLP, they all succeed in part because of an amazing main character. A hero who is developed well throughout the series, who has great depth to them, and who is multi-dimensional in their personality, their character, their traits, their motivations, everything. And Yugo starts off interestingly, because in the first episode, the first time we see Yugo is as a baby. He's being strolled around by Grugel. But the first time we actually get to meet Yugo is years later, basically at the start of the main story. Because everything before that was kind of like the past, what was leading up to Yugo being adopted by his adoptive father and everything. And basically just how it would cause him to meet everyone else, which would create the Brotherhood of Tofu and everything. But yeah, that's not really the big point here. The focus is, when we first actually meet Yugo, he's rambunctious, he's wild, he doesn't take a lot seriously. When he first discovers his powers, he plays around with them. He pulls pranks on his new friends, he jokes around. Now, he does use them for some validly useful things, such as during the fight with the Black Raven, as well as, or is it Black Crow? I can never remember. As well as like when he uses it to basically climb a tree to act as a lookout in the forest. So he does use it for valid things, but most of the time he's just goofing around, and he's not taking too much seriously. Like, because even when they're in the forest and he's goofing around, like, this is during a part where his father has been turned into wood by the little sapling creatures. I don't remember what everything's called. So they're going to basically try to figure out what's going on and try to help his father and all the villagers. And he's goofing around. He's not taking it, like, as seriously as he should be. I mean, he understands that they're going to help the villagers and his father and all. He gets that, but he's not acting as seriously as he should. Now compare that to the later seasons, where he takes things very seriously to the point where he actually gets into this massive feud with his dragon brother, Adamai. He takes it so seriously in terms of rescuing Tristapin and all, that in Adamai's eyes, he's putting the entire world in danger, just for the sake of one person, basically. While Adamai views it more as, like, the sacrifice of one is worth the safety of the many. But yeah, it shows how much he grows, because the beginning of season 1, Yugo at that point would not have been able to make a decision like that. I mean, I still think in the end he probably would have gone to try and save Tristapin, because that's just how his personality goes, but it would have been a lot harder for him, and I think it would have been a decision that he would have regretted almost instantly. He was not mature enough. It was through these seasons, through the episodes, and through his experiences, facing down enemies, traveling to all these different places and whatnot, it's that which allowed him to make these decisions in the later seasons and OVAs and all. And in the final season, he's actually become a little too serious. He's become a little too grown up. Because it's actually starting to affect his views on his relationships with others, such as with Amalia. He's basically viewing it as his relationships with others aren't what's important right now, and he's pushing others away. And while things do seem to work out in the end, it really causes a rift to start to form. So it's just, we see how this character goes from being an innocent child, basically, to someone who's had to grow up very fast and has had to deal with a lot of shit. And it's great. Like, I mean, I don't agree with all the stuff he does in the later seasons, especially season 3. I don't agree with all the stuff he says or does and whatnot, but the fact that he does have this growth and development, and he does face these struggles, he shows himself to not be perfect, to make mistakes, to have issues with the way he views things. The fact that they take this character and change him, but make it so it's very believable, is fantastic. Like, his developments and all don't just happen. It's not like it's just like, oh, one episode he's happy-go-lucky, the next episode he's really serious and overly mature and stuff. No. This happens subtly throughout the seasons and OVAs. We see how it occurs. We see how he changes, and we see the process. And it's subtle enough to where we don't even really notice it right away. We don't even really notice that he's changing, because it's so subtle. It's so... mind's blanking. It's just so slow. It's paced slowly to the point where it's done in a, again, realistic fashion, to where it just feels like a natural progression. He doesn't come across as just having changed. We don't notice it because it feels like that's just how he's grown throughout these seasons. And that's great, because that's how a character should feel. They did the same thing with Steven in Steven Universe, Star in Star Versus. Even Twilight in MLP has gone through quite a few changes in terms of her personality, character, worries, and everything. And I'm glad that they did the same thing with Wakfu here. Because Yugo could have easily been another one of those characters who just was kind of like the one who was thrust into it and was continuously remaining goofy and silly and a child. But no, because of his circumstances, he had to grow up. And they made sure that it felt like, again, realistic. Like, even when he's at his most mature and serious, he still feels young. He doesn't feel like he's like some 40-year-old man who's gone through some shit. No. He still feels like he's young and that he's having to deal with growing up. That he's having this forced upon him because the world needs him for it. He's made all of these tough decisions. All of these really tough, hard decisions, such as with Kilby. Such as with what happened with Nox and everything. Decisions that haunt him into Season 3. That stick with him. Which is also amazing. The fact that he doesn't forget about this, the fact that it still hurts him, is really powerful. So, yeah. Yugo is an amazing character. His personality, his growth, his development, he feels like a real person who you are going along on this journey with. You get to see his downfalls, his struggles, his hardships, but you get to be there for his, for him rising up as well, for him becoming an amazing hero, for him learning to do what's right, even when those closest to you are telling you it's wrong. You get to see him go from this innocent, naive little kid to being a true heliotrope, to being a savior of the world. And it's fantastic. It's wonderful to see this kind of growth and development in a main character. And it's definitely one of the things that makes Wakfu so damn good. But that is only the first of 6 things that I will be talking about with this series. Part 2 of the Why I Love Wakfu series will be focused around, let me make sure I have the order right, animation, the world of Wakfu. Part 2, I will talk about how the animation style, as well as the art style itself, lends towards making Wakfu unique and interesting, helping it stand out from other cartoons of the era. But that is for next time. So thank you all so much for tuning in to Why Love Wakfu number 1. Tell me your thoughts on Yugo. What do you think of him as a main character? What do you think of his growth and development from a naive young child to someone who's had to grow up through struggle and obstacles that were put in his way? What do you think of how his relationships with his friends start to strain due to his own actions and beliefs as he grows? And where do you think he could go if a 4th season does come? Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the next Why I Love Wakfu video. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.